Hey everybody, it is Karen Auha with the Art Boss Formula. It is Friday. Happy Friday to everybody. I am super excited because earlier today it was pouring down rain. It looked like, I got all kinds of alerts on my phone. It might be hailing soon, and the weather was really kind of crazy. I know in a lot of parts of the country, the weather's going to be super crazy over the next couple days, but I'm just going to enjoy the sunlight for right now. So, hey, happy Friday. Welcome to the Art Boss Formula. And today we're just going to kind of go ahead and just dig in because we are talking about today, doesn't moving just feel good? I mean, moving feels good, right? And getting stuck is not fun. But I'm going to ask a question. How many of you start out Monday and you're like, well, all right, cool. And you create your to-do list right on your calendars. And then Friday comes and you kind of look at your calendar and not only you haven't gotten done everything you want to do, now there's like 50 more things on your list that you need to do. And you're going Friday can be a day that is overwhelming. And I don't know, you can raise your hands and you can be like, yeah, that happens to me too. Or maybe it doesn't happen. But what we're going to do today is we're going to dig in to how to create how to separate out your list and create those things that need to be done, and how to kind of work through the overwhelm that can happen with your to-do list. So I want to just take a moment, and this was on my to-do list. I want to say a big thanks because this is a long weekend and it's Memorial Day weekend. And I want to thank everyone who serves our country and anyone who's given their lives just for the huge blessing of being able to live in the United States with all the freedoms that we have. So I wanted to acknowledge that. That was on my to-do list, check number one. But I just want to kind of jump right in then. All right. I know that wasn't a very good transition, but we'll just go from there. So, hey, do you get a little bit of overwhelm on Friday? Do you look at your undone list and you're like, oh my gosh, because as artists, I feel like we're a little bit of a unique crowd because our production and our promotion are really equally as important. And each artist needs to take a look at their production schedules and their promotion schedules. And it's going to look different for you than it does for me. I spend at least 50% of my time doing business promotion for my business, because here's why. I absolutely love painting. I absolutely love it. But I also know that if I don't have an income stream that covers the cost of doing what I love to do, that I can't do it forever. So really breaking down your business tasks are super important at the beginning of the week. You can also, you're going to have to break down your production tasks as well. So a lot of us know how to do that. We know how to create a to-do list. We just, create all the things that we have to do this week, and we can do that. But what happens when the list gets really too long to physically be able to do? How do we start organizing our task list in a way that allows for us to be successful at what we're doing? We spend a lot of time building our craft, and we spend a lot of resources becoming better and better at what we do in our art world and in our craft. And I think what we forget as artists, that business is hard. It's not super easy, and there are a lot of things you need to do to keep your business running successfully, right? And we forget that, and sometimes we get overwhelmed with the business part. So here's what we're going to do today. Because business is super important. We can't forget it. We can't take that whole task and just go, forget it. So we're gonna break down our task list. So, well, first of all, who's overwhelmed on Friday? I can be. On Friday, I might be like, oh, great, I feel like I got so much done. And then when, again, I look at my list and I see the 50 more things that need to happen, I might just go, well, I have the weekend to get that done. Well, that's not the best solution. And I'm the first to acknowledge that it could be my go-to until I started really looking at my task list and evaluating it on two different scales. So you want to stop the craziness with your task list? I do. I want it to stop. So I believe that all tasks come down to, we can evaluate it on two scales. Number one, how important is the task and how urgent is the task? So I am going to be sharing my screen. That's one reason I'm coming into StreamYard, is so that I can share with you a whiteboard and we can kind of start walking through this whole concept. So when you build out your whole task list, you can actually put each one of your tasks into this nice grid, and the X and the Y axes are up and down is the importance scale, and left and right is the urgency scale. So let me go ahead and share my screen. All right, share my screen, go into my Chrome tab. There it is. Okay, so I'm going to share, it's a whiteboard. If you haven't used this, I just started using it. It's called Miro, M-I-R-O, but it's really nice because it's a whiteboard that you can use while you're online. And so here it is, and excuse me, here it is. So I'm going to show you that all your tasks can be evaluated on these two scales. Your importance scale, so if it's really important to not important. And then you have your urgent scale, which is not urgent over to urgent, right? So that's basically your grid. And then we have the quadrants. We have quadrant 1, quadrant 2, quadrant 3, and quadrant 4. So when we break up our to-do list, we're going to start breaking them up in this way and put them into the components. And I'm not going to focus on every single quadrant right now, but I want to focus on quadrant number 1 and number 3. Okay, but let's go through this. So if we're in quadrant number 1, it's work that's not urgent, but it's important. All right, we'll go through examples of these. Let's go to quadrant number 2. Quadrant number 2 is important and urgent, right? So, and a good example of important and urgent would be, I have a commission due on Monday, so I need to get that commission completed, right? So it's on my radar. I'm working on it every day. It's something that I acknowledge is really important and urgent, and I need to have it on the top of my to-do list. Right? When we operate just here, we operate with the overwhelm. So that's what we're going to start talking about, right? We don't want to always be operating with every task being important and urgent. So how can we make that shift, right? That's where we get to the quadrant number 3, right? So these are things that are not important and urgent, right? So you're thinking, okay, what would that be? Here's the key to the tasks that come here. They're not important to you, but they're urgent to someone else. A lot of tasks that end up here are because they're urgent to someone else and they're trying to make it important onto your list. So a really great example of this would be, for example, someone comes to you today on Friday and says, oh my gosh, Karen, I need you to give me a donation of a painting because we're going to be raffling it on Monday. Well, it just became not important to me because I'm not going to get any marketing out of it. I'm really just doing this as a favor, right? And but it's urgent to them because they're like, I need it now. I need it now. So this is where sometimes people try to get those tasks pushed up into this quadrant for us, and we need to be able to evaluate and say, okay, although donating artwork is really important, there's a process to it, right? There's a process to it. I need to know 3 to 4 weeks in advance. I only donate 1 painting a month, and I've already donated that painting. So you have to have some automation around it. So this is a really good example of something that we can automate, right? Push back into quadrant number 1. And the nice thing about unloading this is the quadrant where we get to say no, right? We have limited time, and there are just some things that we're not going to be able to do. So there are things that we can unload in our to-do list that are in this quadrant, right? It doesn't mean that we say no, doesn't mean that we're mean about the way we say no, but we need to give ourselves permission to say no when we're working in this quadrant. And again, donations are really important, and they're an important part of my business plan, but I've got it automated. So when someone comes to me in that situation, like I need it right now, I need it really quick, I just refer them back to my policy about donations, that I donate 1 painting a month. How you get on the list to be that 1 painting a month is this process. And then I would say, hey, I would love to help you out next year. Why don't you get in touch with me? And here's the whole process, right? So what you've just done is you've unloaded a task because you've automated it. So That's one really good example. And a lot of times when you're operating in this quadrant number 3, it is about someone else's urgency, and you need to evaluate how important their urgency is to you. And you know, a lot of where I operate here is with my family. So although it might not be urgent to me and it might not be important to me, it's important because it's important to them. So, you know, it's not that you're not working and it's not that you're not working and doing things in this quadrant, but you need to be really selective with this quadrant. So then we move into quadrant number 4, which is not important and not urgent. And you're thinking, well, what could possibly be not important, not urgent? Well, the thing about quadrant 4 is if you're not at least kind of managing it and just keeping an eye on it, these tasks will come over and move into either quadrant 2 or quadrant 1, right? So our goal is to get it to move into quadrant 1. But so a really good example of this would be doing taxes for my next year's taxes, right? So right now, my 2020 taxes aren't due until April of 2021. So that it's just not important, nor is it urgent to me right now. Now, again, if this is this time next year and it's May of 2021, now it's urgent and now it's important, right? But so that's a really good example of to look at our to-do list and, you know, basically say, okay, we need to keep our eye on it, but it's not something we're going to work on right now. Here's where we want to make sure that we're working more often, right? Because again, I guarantee you, if you look at your to-do list right now, you're working in quadrant 2, which everything's important and urgent. So how do we work in quadrant number 1? And it's about creating automation, right? So what are some examples of some automation that you can do within your business? Well, number 1, we talked about when someone says, I need a donation, Karen, and I need it next, you know, tomorrow. If you have an automated process where you can share with someone your process of how you do donations, now you have an automated process. No one's upset. I guarantee you every time that I say no, because I'm like, hey, I've already donated all the pieces that I'm donating for this month or this year. This is how you get onto the list. They understand. They respond to it really well because you're saying no, not based out of overwhelm and emotion, but you're saying no based on a process that you have set up to protect everyone, right? And then another one, how do you automate? Like I automate my social media schedule so that I'm not operating here every day going, oh, what do I need to post on social media? You know, I'm using apps and I'm using, you know, even if I'm posting within my social media organically and immediately, I know what the process is and I know to set aside time and what time during the day. So when we automate things like that, or we automate our advertising schedule, or what about our funnel strategy, right? What if we get the way that people come in and learn about us is already set up so that we're not like at the end of the month going, oh, I need to cover my rent, I need to cover my expenses, and I haven't made enough money. And so then you like try to restart that machine. What if that machine is just always running, right? So those are ways that you can take a look at your to-do list, and we can start trying to operate more here in this quadrant right here, which is in the automate. Because here's the key part of when you're automated, now you're set up as your business grows to start delegating. This is going to be the first task list that if you're going to hire a VA, you've already got the process together. It's already automated. And most of the time, you're now just managing it and eyeballing it and making sure it's on track. So if you want to keep the task for yourself, it's a whole lot easier to manage. But these are also the tasks that are easy to give to someone else, right? So you bring on a VA, or you have a business partner and you want things done a certain way, it's really easy to delegate here. And then once you delegate, now you have more room to put more tasks onto your to-do list. So I hope that was helpful. I can take a screenshot of this for you guys and I will put it inside of the feed because I just really feel like when you take this process, I'm going to stop sharing so I can see you guys. Let me see here. Approve, share. Okay, let's go back here. Let's see if I can. Okay. So when you are, I probably should have put it here. When you are looking at your to-do list and you're making evaluations based on urgency and importance, you can be operating in that automation area, and then the urgent and important area, you'll have more time to take care of. So that's the whole goal to this, right? Let's avoid the overwhelm. All right. Instead of just being like running around like I've got so many things to do, right? And the big one also is understanding where you can say no, right? Because urgency, the thing about urgency is people are delegating to you, but when they're not paying you, then it becomes less important. I mean, that's where it comes down to. So that little quadrant number 3 is like an area where you can evaluate and go, this is where I have to say no. And you have all the reasons why, okay? So we are moving into summer. And for a lot of us, that's a huge selling season, except for this year, art shows are being canceled right and left. And so I want to challenge you guys to think through how are you going to make up that loss of sales income, and remind you that you have a selling strategy that works for everyone. All right. And at the Art Boss Formula, we have a scientific method, right? So we're artists, but science is really important too, right? And the math, and it works. So here's what I want to remind you and invite you, if you're not already at the Art Boss Formula and going to participate in the 5-day free boot camp, we're going to be setting up organic funnels. That is part of that automation process. All right. There's work to getting it set up, but once it's set up, now it's automated. And what we're doing is we're creating Facebook groups where we can engage with our audience in a way that it builds trust, in a way that when we make offers, they're ready to purchase, right? And I know that a lot of you are in this mindset with the fact that the market has shifted and the way that we typically sell may be impacted in a negatively. Let's start digging into the online market. I know a lot of people are like, well, who's buying? Let me tell you, people are buying and they are missing that personal experience. And so if we can create an online experience that there's human contact, like this, Facebook Lives, right? Where I know there's not a huge conversation here, but there is more personal contact, right? So this is what's really important. So I'm gonna invite you to the Art Boss Formula. I will put the link to the registration in like underneath this Facebook Live after I'm done. Here's why you need to register. You need to register because I have a workbook that I want to send you. You need to register because I know that I need to remind you. Like, it's a 5-day boot camp. It's going to happen June 15th through June 19th. Every day at 11 o'clock, I'm going to be in here and I'm going to be teaching you I'm going to be holding your hand and walking you through it. And at the end of the week, you're going to build your first organic sales funnel. All right, you're going to have the base that you need to go forth and start having a meaningful conversation with your clients, right? And we'll talk way more about why a group and why not a page and why the way that you've been working with Facebook or your other social media platforms, how we have to tweak it, right? And how we have to know what we're doing, okay? So you're thinking, okay, that's great. I'm signed up. I want to come. If you're already signed up, thank you. I think I have 25 signups, and that's amazing because I've not even started advertising for it. I'm going to be advertising starting next week. So I'm super excited to get the whole thing going and getting everybody super excited about it. So if you've signed up, thank you so much. And thank you for coming here on Fridays. Even if you choose not to do the boot camp and you just choose not to do that, every Friday I'm showing up here. This is my favorite part of the week. Yeah, by Friday, sometimes I get a little overwhelmed because my to-do list is still long, but I look forward to this 20 minutes that I get to spend with you. And here's why. I love talking about art, and I love talking about art business even more, because as artists, we need to be able to be producing and promoting. And if we're not selling our artwork, it's going to make it harder and harder for us to create. So I want to share what I know, and I want to help other artists get to the place where they are able to continue to create forever, because that's the one thing that I feel so blessed that I'm able to do. And so that is what I'm here for. I want to again remind you that the boot camp is June 15th through June 19th, every day, 11 o'clock. I'm going to come in the same format. I'm going to teach you how to build an organic funnel. You're going to walk away and you're going to be able to start like just engaging into your audience and building sales, online sales. All right. So again, it's a 5-day free boot camp. You'll need to register so you can get the reminders and the workbook. And I'll put that link at the bottom of this. So I just thank you so much, everybody, for coming today and just hanging out with me. And thank you if you are, if you've signed up. So I see Facebook user, but I don't have a name. It says you signed up. Thank you so much. And I just look forward to be able to doing that boot camp. And if you have friends or someone you think might be interested in the boot camp, would you share the link? Would you share the link? That would be really helpful. Just trying to get the word out. And I've been doing all this organically so far. Again, that's what we're gonna be setting up, the organic funnel. That means it's non-paid. But I'm moving into into doing Facebook ads. All right. And then I'm going to share with you guys what I'm learning too. Like eventually we're going to be moving and I'm going to be sharing with you how Facebook ads are changing the way that we do business in the art world, and YouTube ads and even advertising on Pinterest. All these things are really great tools to grow beyond the organic reach, but we'll save that for another day. So, hey, been about 21 minutes, so thank you for hanging in there. I promised you that if you hang in there for 20 minutes with me on every Friday, you'll walk away with tools and you'll walk away with tips on how to continue to build your business, all right? So enjoy your long weekend. Don't work this weekend, or if you're gonna work, just put out your to-do list and then start putting them in the quadrants so that you can figure out where you can be more strategic about your to-do list so that you get it done every week. So, all right, you have a great one and I will talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.